The Prismatic Evolutions bull market is officially here. At this point, I don't really even think there's a debate of what is going to happen to Prismatic Evolutions when it goes out of print. I mean, we are just shortly after all of the major reprints we have gotten recently. I truly do not believe that many people understand how much Prismatic Evolutions we have gotten. Surprise boxes, poster collection boxes, all these Sam's Club drops, the Lucario Tyranitar, the Costco drops, or I missed one, the ETB Pokeball, right, from Sam's Club, Costco, the ETB bundle drop, they dropped twice, the mini tin drop, and all these other products, the Pokemon Center, all this stuff in the past 3 to 4 months. I truly don't think people understand the amount of supply that was dropped for Prismatic Evolutions. It's actually quite astonishing how much product was really released for just specifically this set. And we are just shortly after the fact of all of those reprints. And what do we see going on now? Things are absolutely skyrocketing. And believe it or not, Prismatic Evolutions ETBs, this is actually a bit deceiving. They're basically at this point $140. This is basically almost back to where we were at previously at its all-time high at $150. We are basically almost there. Now, if you scroll down, you can see what I mean by this. There's literally just a couple of people here. These aren't really high-rated sellers, right? There's a couple of people here. This person has 130. They only have one available. This person has 135, 3 available. One person has one here. But after these few people, we go to 140, which is almost back to where we were at previously at the height of Prismatic Evolutions just before it was released when it was $150. We are almost there. And it's quite crazy to see how much time you really had to pick these up at anywhere between $95 to $110. You had quite a bit of time. You had the past about 3 months, like around this time frame. And after all those reprints, we are back to almost where we're at when the set released. And, I feel like this is the perfect example, and I've experienced it at this point, where it seems like no matter how much you say things, how much history has shown that you should be doing certain things, people will never believe it during the time. And what do I mean by this? When Prismatic Evolution, specifically the ETBs, because that's literally all I've been preaching about, when these ETBs were actively being dropped and you could buy them locally on Facebook Marketplace or even on eBay, all these ETB drops from Costco, Sam's Club, I literally made many videos saying buy while it's being reprinted into the ground. You don't know when things are going up, and while prices have dropped to basically their all-time lows, why would you not buy? And it goes to show that no matter how much you say these things, and that history shows that once they stop printing this stuff into the ground, which they can't do forever, it's gonna go up. And yet people did not believe that. People said, I'm still waiting. And what has happened, they're now about $140. And at one point, you could have bought these locally because I was finding them anywhere from $80 to $90. Now, if you're considering now they're about $140, I mean, you do the math on that appreciation in just a few months. It was the most obvious play ever, and people still thought that, oh, it's not a good buy. $80, $90, that's expensive. And you look at Prismatic Evolutions, and I'm the only one sitting there like, what are you talking about? And that's why I made all those videos. And now you can go back, watch those videos, and look in hindsight and be like, you know what? Maybe I thought of something, smart maybe. And here we are. I feel like, my estimations that ETBs by the end of the year at 150, I mean, they're already basically at 140. I don't know where they're going to be at this point. If Pokemon does not reprint ETBs by the end of the year, I don't know what they're going to be at. I said 150, at this point at 140, and we still have a few months left of the year. It seems conservative, also considering we have the holidays coming up. I can't tell you where there's going to be at. I guess I'll still stick to my 150 estimation just to be conservative, but who knows where this will fly to if they do not reprint anymore. And you got to understand that they've already done 3 big ETB drops retail, not even considering the reprint that stores did get initially, like a little bit after release, right? So it's pretty crazy. I guess that so many people probably at this point missed out on the few months you had while reprints were happening at these retail drops. But it's literally, I told you, one of those things. People do not learn, and maybe that's because I've been doing this for like 4 years now, and I've literally seen it happen enough times where I'm immune to people just saying it's a terrible buy. I'm literally immune to it, and maybe that's what people will experience here that missed out. That maybe they'll finally realize some of these things. Probably shouldn't listen to some people, but these are now back to about $140. Now, cases have gone ballistic. There's only one case below $2,000 basically. Here there's one at $1,750. But once this case sells, which it just got listed as of recording this, it goes to $2,000. Guys, I literally showed you guys, I bought a case for $1,000 like less than a month ago. So it's pretty crazy, but if you look at the past week, what has happened, people have been buying them out at $1,300, $1,400 because you're only paying like a $10 premium per ETB, and people were buying cases because at a $10 premium per ETB, I mean, they haven't really reprinted cases because they've been doing all the drops at retail. People took advantage, and now if this one gets sold, which will probably be soon because one did already sell for $1,700, we're at $2,000 for cases, which is about a $60 premium on each ETB. So there's that. Now, if you search up on eBay, can you buy cases? Can you buy anything for under market? Really, no. There's a case here for $1,950, which is basically $2,000. One here for $2,900. One here for $3,500. They're non-existent. Really below $2,000, other than that one I showed you for $1,750. By the time you watch this video, it might be gone. Now, moving on to some other products, PCETBs. PCETBs are still at $400. I've talked about PCETBs. If you can buy them for $400, I don't think it's a bad investment at all. I'll keep referring back to 151 PCETBs. Those are $1,000. I mean, look at the performance of Prismatic Evolutions within a year. Just think about when this is another year older. They're not a bad investment at 400. Personally, you're asking me, are you buying them at 400? I'm not, because I bought them when they were $200. I'm not buying when they're 400. I'm picking up products that have just gotten recently reprinted, and that's what I've been doing. So I'm personally not buying them. But if you didn't invest when they were in $200, then I would still think they're still a pretty fine investment at this price point. Now, cases are getting a bit more expensive for PCTBs. Right now they're going for $2,200, lowest listed. If you do the math, it's about $550. So you're paying about $150 premium on each ETB. Now, cases, I'm going to keep reiterating this every single time I mention this case. At one point, it was listed in a quantity of 4 on Pokemon Center. They took it down, relisted it for a quantity of 2. So there's not many cases actually existing because they changed the quantity that you could buy at. And now they're showing a premium. I've always talked about cases. Cases are pretty unpredictable with premiums and the time frames of the premiums of how it'll appreciate because they're a more niche thing. But paying a $150 premium, which is, it's under 50% of a premium, I guess, per ETB. It's hard to say if it's worth it or not. For some people, it might be because you're like, oh, it's very, scarce. But one thing I'll always caution you guys with PC ETB cases, please ask for pictures if they don't show it of the label. Believe it or not, the only thing that actually is keeping the premium of a sealed case is the label. Because guess what? If there's no label, you can't read what's inside of it, then it's literally useless. If you're just buying a brown box with a mystery item inside. So the label really does matter. As dumb as it sounds, it's literally the thing that shows what's inside of it. That definitely matters. And for PCTV cases, Pokemon Center, when they ship them, they just slap the label over the product label. And some people take it off cleanly, some people can't, and that really does matter. Now, if you go on eBay and check for PCTB cases, the cheapest one is $2,500. Everything else is about like $3,000. So I guess there's one here for $2,300, and here's exactly what I'm saying. There's a shipping label over the product label, but if you're buying this case, you do have to understand. I mean, the shipping label's over it, and the product label's under it. So you got to decide: are you going to keep the shipping label like that, or are you going to take it off yourself and risk ripping the label off? That's up to you. But you can see right here, there's somebody who has a case where it's pretty legible. This is a pretty good label to have on the case, but it's quite expensive. Now moving on to some other products. The super premiums are at $315 at this point. You can see in the past few days I'm just Prismatic. The hype is back, and you can see we're going to quickly enter $350. I only have one of these. I'm going to try to find more. It seems impossible to find these at this point, but they're now almost $350. This is one of the things, I didn't think was going to appreciate this quickly. I thought I would have time to buy these, but Prismatic Evolutions across the board has gone crazy. These were the next products that I was going to want to invest into pretty heavily, but they've just skyrocketed by the time I got to them, because I was just buying normal ETBs, really taking advantage of all those reprints. And unfortunately, these super premiums have gone up quite a bit, and I only have one of them. But hey, one's better than nothing. I'm going to look to see if I can find any deals, but it's pretty hard to find any deals for Prismatic at this point. Now, lastly here, the booster bundles recently have gone up. Right here, you can see a huge, downturn. There must be just one listing that had a ton of them for like $50 or whatever, but they're $23, or not 23, $63, and they bottomed out at around $55. So they're going back up about almost a $10 increase. Booster bundles. They're going to go back up to where they were previously at probably like $65. I mean, we're almost there. We're at like $63 at this point. You guys saw the video maybe that I posted. I bought some booster bundles just because they were the only deals I can really find locally. And it's, booster bundles, they're a pretty good product. So I'm like, you know what, I'll just buy some, whatever, because I can't find anything else. So Prismatic Evolutions, the hype is back. Everyone's saying it's going to get printed to the ground. Well, it did. And now we are, after the fact of the matter, prices are going up. The market seemingly still strong. And once we enter the holiday season, you can only imagine what Prismatic Evolution is going to do. And I hope you guys took advantage of all these restocks, reprints, because I spent many thousands of dollars buying from reprints. And hopefully you guys did too, or did whatever was within your means, because Prismatic Evolutions, all these reprints, I don't know how many more huge reprints we're going to get. I think they are going to continue to print Prismatic, but at what rate? That is up for debate. For me, I've talked about my theories. There's so many things Pokemon needs to print that at the rate they were printing Prismatic Evolutions at, I find it unsustainable that they would print just Prismatic and leave everything else to grow in price, because we are already seeing evidence of what happens when you don't print other good sets like Destined Rivals. So that's what I want to show you guys here. I feel like Prismatic Evolutions is going to be a case everybody looks back at in a year or two when it's out of print and be like, I thought this was expensive. I thought $90 was expensive for an ETB. I think this will be a thing where people will look back and be like, I missed out. I'm telling you, I'm so glad I made my mistakes early on when I started investing years ago, because now Prismatic Evolutions, in my opinion, is the most obvious thing that's going to be one of the top, if not the top performing sets in Scarlet and Violet. Maybe you could argue 151 or Destined Rivals, but it's going to be up there. The set value, everything is crazy about this set. And for all those that hate the set, well, I'll tell you one thing, and I'll end this video off here. Evolving Skies was so hated. Everyone called it Evolving Cries. Everyone said the set's not worth it. You don't pull anything. Well, look how that's doing. So that's all I want to say in this video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.